kids writing the animals that we've carved and know that my great-grandchildren won't know me, but they'll say, my grandmother carved that. It's a wonderful feeling. A lot of us went through those different books that show the old carousels until we found a pose that we liked or a certain animal that we liked.
Rather than trying to design their own animal, you can use one of the patterns out of his book.
We each chose our own. You start out with a transparency.
So we make a transparency from it to go on the overhead projector. We'll use the overhead projector then to project that image against the wall, which is covered with newsprint.
So we picked out what we wanted to do. We put it on the wall, drew it on butcher paper, and then we divided it into the parts as you carve it. You start with the head, because if you get tired and aren't going to finish it, you don't want to have a tail on your dining room table. You can at least have a head. So as we start with the head, then you usually do the neck, and then you finish it up.
When you're carving one of the large animals, whether it's a horse or a menagerie animal, you have 8 distinctive parts. You have the head, the neck, the 4 legs, the tail, and the body. All of those are built out of laminated boards. We use basswood. The grain is very fine and very uniform all across the wood. It holds detail very, very well. This is more of a sculpting process than it is a whittling process. You use much larger tools. You use a mallet almost constantly. People just started signing up left and right. And we ended up with between 70 and 80 volunteer carvers, most of who had never carved before. The three-dimensional characteristics of that horse are much more important than when you're whittling. And that was one of the big challenges of new carvers that we had, was to learn to develop a sense of 3 dimensions, because all they had to start with was a piece of paper with a drawing on it. And one thing that really helps is the use of models, such as these plastic models of horses. And we use these quite frequently to help us with proportions as well as the 3-dimensional characteristics. We put each piece together with dowels, wooden dowels, and glue. There are no mechanical fasteners in our animals at all.
The middle is hollow, so it won't weigh too much.
The body is a box, and the carvers will leave an inscription inside their animals. Specifically, the biggest one is in the wolf. The wolf has a poem to Adai, the wolf that got away from Bays Mountain.
We pre-drill the body before we assemble the body parts. So the hole is there when we get ready for it. It's a long process. An animal like the one behind me here would take at least 1,000 hours to carve. 1,000 hours is a real dedication to something like this. Over 300 volunteers worked on the carousel, and this is just an indication of what kind of dedicated volunteers we had for the project.